When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, Steven. I'm in a speakeasy where you had to press a button on a laundromat to get in. I thought it was a laundry machine, Matt, but it was actually a front where you press the button and it opens up a secret passage door. So, bye. Hey, Steven. I almost got arrested in Paris today. I almost got in a fight with the people in the metro. They extorted us out of money and threatened to call the cops, and I said, do it. Call the Parisian cops. Oh, by the way, I have a drink in my hand, and I don't drink very often, so it just happened. Because it's a laundromat, it's not a laundromat. If you press a button on the machine, it opens a secret door to a speakeasy in Paris.
Hey, Steven. I'm in a little city called Aramons. It's about 20 minutes outside of Normandy in Omaha Beach, where I was just at. So we stop at a restaurant to have some lunch, and I come out of the bathroom, and this American woman is like, Jared Polin. She's like, I'm a photo teacher in Virginia, and I have a photo trip. I have a bunch of students here. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. I'll go take a picture with them when they're ready. So I did that, and then I went to pay the bill for lunch. They already paid for it. It's awesome. I'm kind of famous around the world, Steven. So famous.
The funny thing is, when I call you, Steven, you now start to send me right to voicemail because you think I want to do another voicemail for the show.
It's so annoying.
Is it though?
Yeah, because you're like, oh, don't pick up. Let me leave a voicemail.
Send me to voicemail so I can tell you what's going on. I thought it would be funny if I sent you a bunch of voicemails and then you use that at the beginning of the show.
They're so fake.
They're not fake. They're real. I'm sending you voicemails.
They're forced voicemails. When have you ever sent me a voicemail before we started doing this like 3 weeks ago? Never.
Well, you always pick up the phone.
No, and there's times definitely where I'm on the phone with Dan or something like that. And
Who?
Exactly.
He who shall not listen to this show ever?
Yep.
Hashtag?
Yeah.
Hashtag Dan still doesn't listen to the show. Hashtag Dan. Dan was he was going to get a first class ticket to Paris. All he needed to do was say, Je m'appelle Dan, au revoir Paris. And he could have had a first class ticket to Paris, but he wasn't listening to the last episode where I didn't say that.
He brought up something about RAWtalk the other day on the phone, and I'm like, oh, here it is. Maybe he finally listened, and just nothing, just like crickets. He didn't say anything about the hashtag Dan doesn't listen.
Anyway, I thought all those voicemails were kind of funny. We'll go over most of them throughout this episode.
I had no context as to what the hell you were talking about, so I'm still clueless to this day on what those voicemails even meant. What was the one? Like you were the door is shaped like a laundromat or something? I'm like, what? Are you high?
Well, no, I had an old fashioned that was absolutely incredibly tasty, and I'm not a drinker, and I was a few sips in, and I was like, I should call Steven to leave a real voicemail.
Was it like a secret layer, like speakeasy or something in the underground area? Down
the street from where we are in the La Marais on whatever. We're at the Republique on the L. If you get off and by L, I mean Metro. If you get off the Metro at Republique, there's a street where there's a laundromat where it looks like there's only 2 dryers there. Well, one of them is actually operational because I saw somebody cleaning,
really?
drying their stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, on certain days, which is like not Mondays or Sundays, or maybe it's Sunday. I don't even know what days they're closed, but there's a line outside this laundromat. And when you go in, you press a button on the dryer and it opens up a secret door that then takes you upstairs to a super low ceiling, like 5 foot, maybe 6 feet at most ceiling, where there's 20 seats or so, and it's like a speakeasy. And
wow,
it was pretty cool. And now it's packed every night because every time we come back to our place, it's like
I guess just word of mouth. How do people even know about it?
Yeah, I guess they know it. They just know it.
I guess more people like you, like a tourist that's not from the area.
I think a friend of mine figured it out. No, I don't know. Maybe we just looked it up or something, and it was like, you know how to get in there to get in there. So
secret
that
handshake.
was one voicemail. One of the other voicemails was I got upgraded to first class on the way out. Ooh. I also got upgraded.
So your friends sat in the back with the peasants?
Well, no, one of my friends was in first class also.
Oh.
And then one was in steerage, and one was in the middle, which was like the extra better seat, not as good as first
It's like
class. to
basic
lay down.
economy versus economy.
No,
Same
there's
thing.
like a premium. Sorry, there's premium economy, which are basically bigger seats and they recline a little more. Mine is fully mechanical. I get a meal. I get alcohol if I want it, which I don't.
You had the real first class, yeah.
Yeah, I had the real first class where I can lay down, and
Ooh.
it came with like Bang & Olufsen headphones, which I wasn't going to use because they are terrible anyway. But I chose not to watch any movies. I didn't want to consume any content. I was just content with listening to my podcast, listening to music, and just chilling out for a while on the airplane before I laid down and
Yeah, I'm
tried
hit
to
or
get some
miss.
sleep.
I'm either full on tons of movies or just simply music and trying to sleep, or a podcast or something like that. Like you said, it depends.
Yeah.
I got to be in a certain mood.
I just wanted to fly, so I just flew. And so,
Cool.
not a bad flight. It's only 6.5 hours out to Paris. It's probably 7.5 on the way back because of the jet stream. And we're in 787s. And that was another voicemail. And then the other voicemail was, what was the other voicemail?
Were you getting arrested or something like that?
Oh, me getting arrested. Yeah, I almost got arrested. She almost called the cops.
Again, I have
She
no
threatened.
idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, so okay. Let me talk about the Metro real fast. You can get a Metro pass that allows, so you get a pass. I actually still have it in my pocket, even though it doesn't work. It stopped on the 5th. You get 5 days for like €35, right? So you get 5 days for €35, and it's to ride it as much as you want. But what we didn't understand is that you need to get your picture taken and then put it on your pass with your name, so that if you get, I guess, checked, you show them that your name and your picture is there so that you didn't just hand it between people.
Ah, okay.
Which is frustrating as hell because no one asked for it in the first day that we used it because there's nobody around. It just was when we went to the Louvre at the exit in the certain area. If we didn't go through this exit, we would have been fine. So we were in a rush. We get off the subway. We are walking through this corridor. My friend Katie looks like she's about to be stopped. I keep walking because I think it's someone like in New York that's just trying to like put something on your wrist and trying to steal money or trying to do some bullshit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no. I'm like, I don't want anything. He points to his jacket and some bullshit. Where's your pass? I'm like, it's right here. And he's like, where's your picture? I'm like, what picture? No one said anything about a picture.
You didn't say, do you know who I am?
I was like, do you know who I am? No one
Look
said
at my
anything
shirt.
about it. Right. No one said anything about a picture. And they're like, oh, it's a fine. I'm like, a fine for what? Where's your receipt? I'm like, this is my fucking receipt. I'm like, what are you talking about? So then this other lady comes over and she takes our passes and she's like, it's €35 each. I'm like, we just bought these yesterday. And she's like, where's your receipt? I'm like, why would I keep my receipt 24 hours later? And I'm like, and if you guys know that we needed photos, you're just trying to extort money. Where do we get photos? It turns out I saw the other day that it looked like one of the stops where you could buy something and someone was working there was taking a picture. But where we bought it, it looked like they didn't have the ability to do that. And then there were actual photo booths that you could sit in to get a passport photo done, and that's what they expected you to do. But why? Like, it's fucking absurd that they charge us $35. She's like, it's $35 or we call the cops.
Oh.
And it's going to be more expensive. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we just bought these yesterday and now you're going to charge us €35 more? I'm like, it's absurd. And she starts to reach for her thing and Katie's like, well, we'll just pay it. We'll just pay it. I'm like, that's not the point. It's bullshit that if we didn't go that, see, they know what they're doing. They went to the exit where people are going right into the Louvre. And so they know what they're doing. They're preying on tourists to just extort more fucking money out of you. So fuck you, Paris Metro, you fucks.
I don't understand though. When you first got the passes, why did they not let you know that you need a photo on there?
Because one, there was probably a miscommunication in language barrier, even though Katie understands. But it's not like it says here, add your photo, or like, do you know what she said to me? You know what this woman said to me? She's
What?
like, it's your responsibility to know. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It's my responsibility to know something that I don't know? How am I supposed to know?
Gotta love
How
it.
are you supposed to know this? So here's a warning to everybody out there. If you come to Paris, not that it's been an issue in any other time that I rode. If you're going to get off at the fucking Louvre, just take one of the exits that takes you outside and walk around so you don't have to deal with one of these extorting French fucks. Hashtag extorting French fucks. And anyway, we had to buy tickets again, which was super frustrating and really pissed me off because when you tell me that it's my your responsibility to know. I want to be like, fuck you, Frenchie. Like, how is it my responsibility to know?
Yeah.
It's like, you buy a pass and it's supposed to work unlimited for those 5 days. What am I going to do? Hand it? And even if I handed it to someone else, who cares? They can only use it in the subway station. It's not like I can go through the subway, Stephen. It's not like I can go in at the Republic entrance, ting it, give my pass to someone else and ting them back in, because it doesn't let you do that.
It's just the Metro. Yeah.
Right, the Metro. It doesn't let you ding in multiple people. I wasn't trying to let multiple people in. I actually had to go back to the room after going through the turnstile to give someone the key. And then when I went back to the same area, it was like, bzz, bzz, it wouldn't let me through. So I had to walk around to go to a different one because I didn't come out of a different exit. And it knew that I can't go back through that same one again because it thinks that it's probably timed. So that was frustrating.
Yeah, that sounds super annoying.
Whatever. Anyway, I'm recording this from my Airbnb, still in Paris, flying home tomorrow afternoon. Steven is in wherever the hell Steven is in New Jersey.
What time do you fly home?
2:45 my time, which is 9 a.m. yours.
That's like now, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes. Yeah, about 9:20 your time. My thing was telling me that we land around 5:50 Eastern Standard Time. And then I have to get through customs and then go have Morimoto or something that's not French food.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, the fact that we can do this, though, from across the world with almost zero latency blows my mind. Like, I was literally controlling your computer from how many miles away, thousands of miles away, and adjusting your audio settings with the new microphone and all of that. It's just crazy. Like, I felt like I was just on my own computer. There was barely any lag at all.
Well, it doesn't hurt when I've got like 500-600 up and 500-600 down here.
Great internet,
which is good. Which is so much better than the hotel I was staying at when I was doing the bowling one with you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it's amazing what we can do from around the world. I am using the NT USB that I talked about getting real easy. I plugged it into USB-C and it just worked.
Yeah, it's a little hotter than normal, the mic, but
don't know why.
Yeah.
Don't know why it's a little hotter.
Yeah, it's something with your laptop. I can adjust the gain all the way down and it's still pretty loud. So I don't know, either it's through Zoom or something's doing it in the background and I can't control it. It's good enough though.
It's not bad. Anyway, Paris has been a lot of fun so far.
Cool.
It's a long trip. Now, the reason I was here, I probably mentioned before, my friend Katie was running the Paris Marathon. So on Sunday, she was running the marathon and I was there to like make sure that she was fine. Like in terms of, it was her day, so I wasn't going and doing my own stuff because I wanted to be at the finish line to get video of her coming around the end, which I ended up using the Insta360 Flow. I did mention that before, that I'm using that here to make a sponsored video that they sponsored, which is a product showcase. It won't be a review. So I've been using that throughout Paris to film different things, try out different features so that we can make a sponsored video when I get back. It's going to be a good video because I honestly have some good footage, but and I'll explain what it does later. It's not, this part isn't sponsored by them. This is just me talking about it. So she finished the marathon in like 4 hours and change, which is slow for most people. But it's also faster than 95% of the world who isn't capable of running 26
like 10 hours to finish a full marathon, I bet.
26.2 miles. She made it all the way through. She averaged about 9 minutes and 40 seconds per mile, which she stayed consistent with the same average. Like she was really close to 9:39, 9:40, 9:49 the entire way. And that's running through all of Paris.
Wow.
Some are cobblestone streets. Sometimes you're on tree-lined roads. And she went through and she finished earlier in her group than her friends that were also running from Philly. And it was pretty cool. I was around the end. My buddy Troy was here and he helped spot her so I could, find her because I don't see very well. So he found her. What was funny is when we were waiting for her to come around the corner, there was this woman next to us and she takes out her phone and types a little bit of text and she's like, "I've lost my voice. When my friend comes around, can you yell his name for us? Name for me?" And so everybody was like, "Ali, Ali," which is like run, I guess, in French. Ali, Ali, and then the name. And I think it was Ali, Ali. Fuck, I don't remember the guy's name.
Cool story.
Not Pedro. It was just Pedro. Ali, Ali, Pedro. So we're waiting. I'm like, "Okay, tap us when he's coming and we'll yell." And then she's like, "Oh, there he went." and so then Troy and I were like, "Ali, Ali, Pedro, yay, Pedro!" And so we did do the yelling, and then Katie came by and ran, and then we had to find her at the finish. 52,000 people ran.
Wow.
About 51,000 and change finished. So about 900 didn't finish the entire race.
Was she? Did she speak English as well, or she used like a Google Translate app or something like that?
I think most people speak English here. I think everybody speaks English.
Did you find yourself having to use like Google Translate or the actual Translate built-in iPhone app?
Not at all. Everybody speaks English. Even when I went and got pho, the people that spoke Vietnamese and French, of course, know English. Everybody else knows English. So everybody knows English here.
Was it Germany where we went and pretty much they all still spoke German and that's it? It was hard to really speak English to them?
Milch?
Yeah, it was Germany, I believe.
Milch?
Poland,
Yeah,
I think
Germany.
a lot of them spoke English, but I don't think Germany.
Yeah, I mean, Paris, Katie spent a lot of time here in her life, so she knows some, and she used to be better speaking at it, but she understands what's being said. The thing is, she's like, even when she's trying to speak French, they're like replying to her in English.
Oh, okay.
And so just making it easier because they don't want to deal with it.
Clearly, you're terrible at speaking French.
No, I just think that they're like, it's just easier, and they're fine. So no, it's never a problem. You can get menus usually in English, or you can just search the words that you don't know on a menu.
Yep.
Look it up yourself. Try to figure it the fuck out. That's what I did.
It's so much easier to travel these days with the iPhone and a freaking computer in your pocket that can translate anything.
Yeah, and if you don't know where you're going or someone doesn't speak your language, you can type it in their language, and then they can read it. I mean, it is. I don't worry.
Yeah.
I don't worry about it. And the metro has been fantastic around here, regardless of those French fucks that my friend DeMarcus, who's here, he's like, yeah, all those agents that are like that, they're failed cops who couldn't make it as a cop.
Oh, okay.
Is what he's like. Yeah, so this is their ability to try and fuck some people over. But there's like 325 metro stops or something. You could take it about 40 minutes out to somewhere. Like I had to take it 40 minutes roughly, two trains, the one to something else that got me out to where Canon Paris is. It's outside of the city slightly, but it's more of like not an industrial area, but more of like a tech center. So they're newer, modern buildings. And the thing is that the Canon Paris people were super excited to that I was in town. They're like, "Whoa, would you like to come to the office?" So I did. I went to the office.
How was it?
Troy and Katie went with me. They gave us some swag. We talked. We watched a video, answered some questions, took some pictures, and then 40 minutes later came back to the city. But it's $2.10 to use €2.10 to ride the L or the subway, or you can get 10 tickets for $19.40. So you save a little bit of money when you do that, which is actually good to get 10 tickets, or you could just get a Metro card that you can refill and then end up putting it on your phone. It would have been just so much easier if it was like New York City. In New York City now, you just activate that option on your phone, which activates it on your watch, that you walk up to the turnstile, you tap your watch around it, and it tings you through and charges your credit card because you already preset it.
That's cool.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That would make things so much easier here, but they don't have that, and it is what it is. But other than that, the L has been fantastic because it takes you longer to take an Uber anywhere than it does to get on the subway. And within 20 minutes, 13 minutes, 28 minutes, whatever, you take two of them, you're 15, 16, 20 stops away, and then you're back where you need to go. It's just a really efficient, great way to get around the city. Much better than walking, because I've probably done, let me see if I can pull this up, weekly summary, and see how many total miles. 30 miles.
Wow.
This week of walking. And that's not counting the 40 miles the before that, because I've been here for 9 days. So it's probably a good 50 plus miles that I've walked, and it's fine. Like, it's a great city to walk. There's so many places to go in all the different appuissements or whatever they're called, like zone 1. There's 20 zones, and each section is cool. Like the 1 is more like Rittenhouse Square in Philly. It's more upscale, and there's nicer restaurants. And if you go to like 20, or I don't know which ones, like I don't know them, and I don't know which one I'm in right now, but they're all over the place, and they're great. They're different. Like in each one of these areas, there's a million restaurants, there's a million stores, there's a million places to go. Some areas are nicer than others, but oh, I should talk about the trash, right? Because everybody was like, the trash is going to be so bad. I didn't. They solved the strike the day before we came. Picking up
what
the
happened
trash.
with the trash?
Oh, well, leading up to go to Paris, they've been striking. A lot of people have been striking. The
public works, like city workers?
The sanitation workers were on strike,
okay.
so they weren't picking up trash. So there was like 8-9 foot piles of garbage piling up in certain areas.
Oh, wow.
I didn't see any of it. I don't think they cleaned it all up that quick. I think it really comes down to the news sensationalizing certain things. It's like, it was like a news reporter standing in front of water flowing and being like, the water is flowing so fast that if you tried to go through it, you would die. And then a guy just walks through the water behind her, into the frame. Like, they're just full of shit when it comes to the news. And so
hurricane force winds. I can't even stand up. And the guy's just walking casually in the background.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. And so I haven't seen any protests. There is a protest today, and there are some of the subway lines that are closed right now because they're striking. The reason they're striking is Macron used something in their constitution that allows him to, in essence, make like in the U.S., an executive decision, and he changed the law himself without anybody else being able to say no. Or no, as they say here.
No.
And so they're upset that he raised the age of retirement from 62 to 64. His reasoning for raising is that people need to pay more money in because they're living longer, and that means that if people aren't paying money in, that it's going to run out of money.
I question Social Security, man. Will it be around when we're retiring?
They've been saying that for like 20 some years. My dad's like, oh, we'll never have money by the time I do, and here he is. There's money in it.
My wife's great aunt is 97 and she's perfectly healthy, still kicking, and it's just mind blowing. Like my grandparents are 90 years old and they're fine.
Yeah, it's just sometimes Medicare, the amount of money that it is like $600 a month isn't exactly enough money for people as they get older.
Yeah.
To really live on, because that's not enough money, but it's some. But it's not enough. But I'm not here to talk about politics and Macron. I don't really give a shit. Get back to work, you fucking lazy fucks, and stop bitching about everything.
So at the end of the day, you are at the end of your trip. Do you wish you left earlier? Because that's always the question with you.
No, I'm cool. I could have left yesterday. The good news is my buddy Stefan Macchio, the musician and producer, just landed here.
Oh, nice.
From Australia. Actually, he was in Australia to Dubai and then Dubai to here. And I want to do a shoot with him at the Eiffel Tower at night. And his lady friend, a girlfriend, is coming too. And I'm like, look, dude, I don't care if it's 2 a.m, 3 a.m, 4 a.m, whenever. Call me. I'll meet you over there to do this shoot. Near the Eiffel Tower with the street lights and everything, because he's a cool looking guy. She's like a fucking model. And it would be really cool to watch them just spin around and embrace after not seeing each other for a couple days or a week or 2 months or whatever, however long it is.
All right. This shot's at 102,400 because I forgot my flash at home.
Well, he's
not
like
noisy
flash
at all.
photographer. No, I don't want to, but I don't want to use flash. I really don't.
You just got to do it right.
I have the 28 to 70 f2. I have the R8, which is what I chose to travel with. I do have the R50, which I haven't taken out of the bag.
I didn't think you would. Yeah.
No, I didn't take it, but that was more of like just
Backup.
in case I needed it.
Yeah.
I've been really enjoying the R8. If anybody's been looking at my Instagram, you would have seen my photos.
But Jared, there's no IBIS in it. So how are you using it?
Yeah, you're right. And I was just thinking back, well, none of my DSLRs ever had IBIS, and none of the Leica cameras that the greatest photographers in history used had it.
Sure.
But you also notice that a lot of these older images in the 50s and 60s and 70s were not tack sharp, just because it just wasn't possible.
I saw the one shot you did, which was a slow shutter shot of someone walking by and a guy reading the newspaper or whatever. I think the dog one too. I assume you didn't use the 28 to 70, or did you?
I did use the 28 to 70.
Wow, so that was handheld with no stabilization at a slow shutter speed.
That's correct. The problem is that the dog isn't tack sharp. You can't tell on Instagram.
Sure.
I wrote about it.
Yeah.
But the dog isn't.
That's not bad for not having IBIS, is what I'm saying.
No, and I was at 1/20th of a second at f2.
Yeah.
And so
you're
people
certainly breaking the reciprocal rule with that.
Well, yeah, but some people were questioning, like, why didn't I would have shot it 1/25th? I'm like, I already did that. So I already shot where I froze the dog. But my thinking was, and this is how I build an image in my mind and then go and capture it, is that I want to convey the dog is sitting here still, or the guy is standing there drinking his tea or reading his newspaper, but there's hustle and bustle going on.
Chaos.
It's like when you do street photos, or when I was in in Venice, and there was a street performer playing music, and people were just ignoring and walking by. Same thing the last time I was in Paris. You can see at jaredpolin.com. If you look at my Paris, there's the stuff in the subway in the metro where people are walking by as this whole band is playing, and motion is what you're trying to convey. So with the dog sitting there, I didn't notice the dog until I came up from the bathroom because it was downstairs. And as I got my eyes above the stairs, I'm like, there's a dog here. And I went and got my camera. I'm like, I got to do this. So I hid down the stairs a little bit, got the dog's attention, which was good.
Look, another dog. Woof.
Yeah. And look at that hairy guy. Oh, look at that hairy guy. Oh, can I sniff your butt?
He's got hair like me.
Your butt? And so what I wanted to do was go slower shutter speed so that the waiter going by would blur. And so you can see that the feet are in the perfect position. The way that I wanted the feet were in that walking position, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. But you can see that the smock or whatever it is that they're wearing, the apron, there's some flow to it.
And the hard part is you don't want to go too slow of a shutter speed because then it just looks like a ghost is going by. But when you have just enough where you can tell it's still a person moving, and like you said, with the actual feet moving, that's where it really works out, the slow shutter speed.
Oh my shit, God. There's a cat walking on the roof, Steven. Hey, cat. There's a cat on the glass roof. Steven, there's a cat on the glass roof right now.
Okay, I believe you.
Oh my God. Hold on, let me tilt the computer back and try not to ruin anything. Oh, fuck. I did. Do you see this cat? Oh, it's gone.
I was going to say, there's nothing there.
Hold on. I filmed it. Hold on. I just dropped I moved the mic.
You were just staring at the screen for a second. You're like, what is going on? And then you're like, there's a cat.
There's a cat on the roof. I'll have to post that later. But there was literally a cat on this glass roof above me, which is pretty cool that it's like a whole roof of glass up here. It was leaking this morning from the rain, we noticed. But there was just a cat up there, which is pretty funny. What were we talking? Oh, okay. I didn't try to do the cat at the slow shutter speed because I'm not taking a picture. But one of the issues with the R8, and this is one that I called out when we learned about the specs in the first place, was that it doesn't have IBIS. It's one reason they were able to drop the price.
Yep.
Most lenses have IBIS, not the 28 to 70 f2. So me going to a 20th of a second was more of an issue with the dog shot. And another thing that I did wrong with that shot was I didn't have 40 frames a second on because I'm like, well, I'm not shooting sports right now. I'll put it down to a little slower. One of the things that we used to do with film cameras or DSLRs is you do a quick burst.
Yep.
When you're shooting at slower shutter speeds, when you don't have IBIS or stabilization in the body or the lens, because you do a quick burst and you hold your breath.
Because it's probably the middle shot's going to be the steadiest one. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what they always taught us, that somewhere one of those shots you're going to settle and the subject's going to settle and one of them will work. And if I got 40 frames to do it at now, it's most likely going to work. And someone else was like, did you just like I'm thinking about the cat on the roof right now, Steven.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. There's a friggin' cat above me.
It would have been funny if two cats were having sex on the roof right now in Paris and I was filming it. Now that would be ideal. One of the things that someone said is, do you just rest the camera on like the table? And the truth of the matter is you don't want to rest your arms, your legs. You don't want to put the camera on the table. More vibrations happen that way. So that's where a lot of vibration happens. It gets like if we're at a concert, we don't rest our arms on the subwoofer, because if we do that, the vibrations are going to go right through our body, right into the camera more. And so, no, I was hand holding, tuck my elbows in, hand underneath, breathing the proper way or not breathing at all when shooting.
You're turning yourself into a human tripod. 3 points of stabilization. You know, you got the viewfinder, your elbows, and you're just locking that in and breathing out and taking a photo, right?
Right. And your penis for some people help keep it stable.
Sure.
This also brings up shooting.
Little kickstand.
This also brings up shooting at the Louvre. The Louvre was another travesty of travel. My recommendation, so I'm going to give some recommendations here. Do not go to the Louvre during any regular hour.
Peak hours.
Peak hours or non-peak during the week or weekends is definitely a no-go. It's not like they really limit how many tickets go in. They sell 1 billion of them, and you do pick a time. But what you can do at the Louvre, a friend of mine said that they went in not off-peak hours, but there were late hours. Like Friday nights, they may stay open till 7 or 8. And so what you do there is none of the family will be there. None of the kids will be there. And there's a better opportunity for it to be less hectic.
I mean, that's with any major landmark, I'd say, right?
Yeah, but I didn't know that there were late hours as an opportunity. I would have considered doing that myself to go late hours.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done. And hiring an actual tour guide, spending the money, getting a real tour guide to put together. We did that at the Musée d'Orsay or whatever it's called. We did that with a tour guide for 2.5 hours. We paid her, and it was great because very knowledgeable, and she had a whole program designed for us. And that's what I would say is, like, if you're coming here and you can afford it, hire a tour guide.
Oh yeah.
That you can work with for multiple days, like, and let them build a program for you. Tell them what you want. I want to go to this museum, and this museum. They get the tickets. They get you through the entrance quicker because they have basically a VIP thing, or
they give you all the tips and tricks. Like they probably would have let you know, hey, you need to have your photo on the Metro card, or you're going to get stopped.
Yeah. Or you know how I've been getting into places without a problem, Steven?
Yeah.
I just carry my YouTube million plaque and I go, how about now?
Just a big chain around your neck.
Hey kids, you see this? I'm a YouTuber. That's right. And they're like, oh,
you don't know who I am? I have 1.42 million subscribers.
No one has said, Anyway, so recommend that when you go to the Louvre, look for off-peak hours or any of the museums. If they offer those late hours, try to take those and go in then and get the tour guide. The problem was I did a tour, but I did the Louvre tour and it was of the antiquities section, which was awesome because it's like super old Egyptian times or old Arabic times in the desert, and it was like an hour and a half, and it gets you into the museum. But after it was finished, it was on one of the wings, which was on the exact opposite side of where the Mona Lisa was. I wanted to go try and get photos of the Mona Lisa. There's no one around there working to tell you how to get from point A to point B. And then when I finally found two French guys that work there just lounging in the studio area, I'm like, hey, how do I get to the Mona Lisa? And he's like, you just go up these stairs and you then make a right. And so I come up and you go up these other stairs and I'm like, okay, now I'm faced with two sets of stairs going two different ways. Not like, and I don't know. I ended up 10 minutes later back in the same studio going, look, dude, I have no idea where I'm going. And he's like, I'll show you. And then he shows me a little way. And then he's like, now you're going to do that. He's like, I'll just show you. So he walked me over. No, but I'm like, thank
Stupid
you.
American.
Well, there's no way to get around that place if you have no idea where you're going.
Sure,
because you'll just run into dead end after dead end after dead end to cross over from one side to the next. Then you get to the Mona Lisa and the room is absolutely packed. The picture you saw that I posted is pretty good. I would have liked to have done the slow shutter speed there. You know how I shot that, Steven, with the R8?
Did you hold it up?
I held it above my head. I started with the screen out, flipped, and I'm like, I can't do that because if it's flipped, it's not going to be straight. That screen isn't straight.
See, I wish Canon did what Sony did with the A7R5. I think that's such a great idea where you have both the tilting capability and the vari-angle flipping part on the screen as well. So you could do both.
Exactly.
You just held it straight up without it being
I held it over my head. Right? I held it with two hands over my head while looking up, through top of my eyes to make sure, trying to get my lines as perfect as possible, using a 28 to 70 f2. I take the picture. Steven, you saw the picture, right?
Straightest lines ever.
Are those not the straightest lines you've ever seen? I mean, look at the lines up at the top. I'm like,
for hand holding that above your head without really seeing the screen, yeah, that's pretty solid.
I was blown away by the capability. I turned around and said, Pardon-moi, pardon, je m'appelle Jared. I am the greatest photographer ever. I should be hanging on the wall.
And the entire room was just like, yeah, Jared's the best. He got the greatest shot in the world.
He's the best around. He's the best around.
I'll also, with those types of shots, I always tell you, like, try to use the transform tool because with architecture and a wide angle lens, because what were you shooting that with? The 14 or the 28?
No, I told you the 28 to 70.
That was the 28 to 70 as well. Was that wide at 28?
I was at, you got to give me a second to pull it up.
Because you start to get some bowing in the room is what I'm saying. And that transform auto tool in Lightroom really does great things with architecture and a room and the straight lines on the side.
Where bowing happens. But it's gonna crop my image.
It does slightly crop, yes.
So let me look. I was at...
But it's basically like having a built-in tilt shift lens in Lightroom. It's really nice.
I was at 28 millimeters.
Yeah, so you're at the wide end, which I'm sure there is some slight bowing.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Steven. To straighten these lines, it leaves a whole bunch of... It looks terrible.
But are the lines curved on the end? kind of
No, the lines
diagonal.
on the end are now straight, but now there's a whole bunch of white.
Yeah, sometimes you have to mess with it. You can manually do it. You can hit the auto mode. You can do the full guided mode.
Steven, my picture's perfect as it is, just like you. You're just perfect. I've been really happy with using the R8. There's been no time
Well,
here.
keep in mind you're also throwing a $3,000 piece of glass on it.
I am. That's the thing. Does it not have, it doesn't have IBIS. Battery life is pretty shit if you're trying to, I make sure I charge the battery every night, or if right now it's at half because I've been using it the last 2 days. Like when I went to Normandy and today, but I haven't taken a ton of pictures with it.
And you're not taking video, right? You're just strictly doing pictures?
I actually did video at lunch, but I did video because I wanted the audio from the restaurant, the cafe we were in. So I let it run for 6.5 minutes, and I put on the Canon microphone. I set it to the wide stereo mode, 120 degrees. So I figured that's what you would want it to be.
Well, what's really cool about that microphone too is it's it goes through the digital hot shoe, and on top of that you can adjust the pattern to make it the 120 degree wide angle stereo field, a 90 degree stereo field, or a super narrow mono where it's really just acting like a shotgun mic at that point. So that microphone is super versatile for what, $300?
I think it's $300. I really wish that
and Sony has the same kind of stuff on their end too.
I just wish Rode would make one. I don't know if that's a proprietary format that they would need to crack to do it, but I let it record because I love the sounds. So I found a place. I've gone there 3 times for lunch.
Oh, that's weird. So weird.
Yeah, a place called Hand, which is called Have a Nice Day. It's in the One. It's near the Louvre.
That's funny.
It's a couple minutes from the Louvre, and what's cool about it is it's not really a touristy spot. Though when I went there the other day for lunch, the 2 Americans that came in ordered pancakes, and they also had a side of French fries. And I was like, you fucking Americans, you
Carb
come here,
City, load up.
and you have pancakes, syrup, and you order French fries with your lunch.
But they're French fries in France.
Yeah, I know, but that is not a great meal. Troy then showed up there to have lunch, and I got a poke bowl with salmon and black rice and vegetables, which was great. And then they had these little chocolate cakes, which were great. I had that at the end. That just meant that I didn't have chocolate cake at night, right? Because I had it during lunch. But he got the pancakes, and I had a piece of one of them, and he's like, these are the best pancakes I've ever had. Very good pancakes, very good syrup. The thing about the food here, and I'll get back to that recording in a second, is I haven't felt like shit after eating anything here at all because they have real food here.
Sure.
Like their regulations on food are far superior to ours. Like preservatives don't exist. And it's crazy because the baguette that I buy around the corner will last a couple days before getting hard. Where even, like me, I can't last a couple days without staying hard.
I was waiting for it.
I was waiting for it too. Like at home, if I get a baguette from La Colombe and I just leave it in its wrapper, it's going to be hard within hours. It just goes bad. And so it's just like, the food quality here, I haven't felt like shit, and I've eaten well, and I've been much happier. But I let the audio record at lunch because it was all the Parisians talking. There was clanking glasses. There was door opening and closing. There were chairs moving in and out. I may have moved the chair in and out a couple times to make some noise. I may have played with the silverware a little bit to get noise. I dumped some water into the one glass to the next to get some of the gloop, 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 gloop noise.
You're just going to hear like this, like... Not natural sounds at all. Jared's recording.
Those were the only ones that I did myself. The rest were all natural, and I think it would be pretty cool.
I remember for the Bernie documentary, I had to build like a soundscape for when you were in the diner, and I took probably 15 different stems of like different sound effects, from chiming of silverware to stools turning around to people chattering in the background to cars going by in the distance outside, all kinds of stuff to really make that feel like a full immersive experience where, at least there you could just hit record and call it a day, and it'll save us a lot more time and effort if we do a vlog of some sort or whatever.
That's the thing about travel is like, if you want to build your own folio or your own log of music everywhere you go, you take like a Zoom H4 or 6 or whatever you can, and you just record at the train station. You record at the Eiffel Tower, and you just label this stuff.
And the beauty is, now you have a lot of inexpensive recorders. Zoom just put one out, I think, for like $200 that does the 32-bit float recording. So you don't have to even worry about levels. You just hit record, call it a day, and you can tweak it in post after. That you have such dynamic range where you're limited when you're dealing with like 24-bit or 16-bit audio, obviously.
Also, I was thinking about other videos we can make with some of the stuff, and we will use Artlist because they have a lot of stuff there. It's going to end up being an Artlist video, one of the videos I end up doing, because they sponsor us for some things.
Artlist is definitely my go-to when it comes to sound effects, if we do happen to use them in certain videos. I try to go to them.
They have a lot of good stuff. This part isn't a plug, but if you want to check it out, I think you get 2 months free if you sign up for a year at artlist.com. No, it's whatever Artlist website is, go there and then put
Artlist.io, I think, right?
/fro knows photo.
Yeah,
I think that's my link, but that's what we've been using. But I wanted to record our own audio there just in case it sounded cool, and so that's why I used the R8 with the digital hot shoe. The R8's been great. So
back to that, the lens, like I was saying, you were using a $3,000 piece of glass. What about someone that, if they just bought the kit lens, which is their 24 to 50, 4.5 to 6.3 for, it's an extra $200 on their website. Do you think you could have got away with the shots you got? Or were you at f2 most of the time?
No, I'm shooting at f2 because it gives me such a look.
Depth, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a reason I use expensive glass, and there's a reason that I'm able to get the results I'm able to get. A lot of it is the glass, and of course the other is the experience and the know-how. But anybody buying this camera with a kit lens is making a huge mistake. You're not pulling the best results out of it. Can I pull results out of it? Sure. I can go around Paris with the shitty kit lens and get pictures. I did it with the ZFC in Verona, right?
The good thing is you can at least get some of their inexpensive primes, like their 50-1.8 is like $180. Their 85 f2 is like $550. So you can get away with a cheaper, not kit lenses necessarily because they're the prime lenses, but you can buy more inexpensive lenses and still have some great photos out of the R8 instead of buying a $3,000 lens.
Well, when I took the ZFC to Italy, I used the 16 to 45 or whatever it came with. And one of my favorite pictures of the Grand Canal was done with that. And that's the cover of the photo book that I made for my trip, for my photo book wall.
Yeah.
And you can get the job done. But the point is, you're not going to get the job done time and time again consistently and do it the best of the best with honor, sir, unless you put quality glass. And no, not everybody is throwing a $3,000 lens on there. But I'm talking to the people out there who own R3s and own R1s one day and Z9s and A1s and whatever you want to own.
But do you think they're buying this camera?
So Canon, my people at Canon were like, I just want to let you know there was an EOL, Explorer of Light, who reached out and wants to buy one because they've been following what you've been doing and they really want to get one of these because of what you can do. And my answer to the EOL is, you're never going to be able to do what I do, EOL, because you're not me, god damn it. No, but it is a fully capable camera. And I've said this, if you feel that the limitations of no IBIS, no 2 cards, and a smaller battery. If you feel that's not for you, Canon has an option. It's the R6 Mark II. The reason I like it so much, it's the same sensor, same processor, same autofocus. It shoots at 40 frames a second. My R3 I could have taken around here is 24 megapixels, shoots 30 frames per second with a stacked sensor, has IBIS, has bigger battery, of course, but it's a much bigger camera. And not feeling like I've missed anything with the R8. There's things like I don't have a dedicated dial to ISO. So if I need to react quickly to change my ISO, I still have to press a button and turn the dial to activate it, then to get back. So slightly lower, slower to do certain things. But I'm really happy with the black. The picture of the Eiffel Tower that I got, I'm really, really happy with that picture.
Because you only have 2 points of dials, right? You don't have 3 like an R5 or an R6 or an R3.
Hold on. I got it right. Holy shit, this lens is heavy. I have a back one for shutter speed, front one for...
But you don't have aperture wheel that we're used to.
No aperture wheel. The back dials for aperture, the front dials for shutter speed. Then I have to hit the multifunction button, which is what I changed to ISO to then change that. But the fact that I can still do it quickly from that without having to go into the menu is pretty good.
And back to battery life, you said that it really was not an issue at all for you, like shooting all day.
No, I was saying that the battery life could be an issue if you're shooting video and if you're shooting a ton of stills. It's going to get to a point where it's going to blink and you're going to run out of battery. So I have 3 batteries with me. All I've done at the end of the day is, charged up the battery that used up some of the battery and make sure I have at least 2 more. And I haven't gone through a whole battery in a day. I also haven't been doing a ton of shooting. And I haven't been vlogging because I thought I was going to vlog, and I just don't want the distraction of it. It's a pain in the ass to like do it. And then
when you first told me that you were going to try to vlog the trip as well as do the Insta360 flow footage and review or product showcase, I should say, I thought that was going to be a lot for you. And just to try and enjoy your vacation at the same time, I mean, trying to do all of that plus enjoy just walking around Paris, it's a lot to focus on. So I figured you're probably going to nix one of them, and I'm kind of glad you did, because it's a lot for you to do all of that in just a week.
Well, I've been happy with going around and taking pictures. Yeah, that to me is fun. I didn't start that initially, but when we went to the Eiffel Tower, at the time it was just me and my buddy Troy. We came upon this influencer street, which is a really cool angle of the Eiffel Tower. It's kind of like, think of Stonehenge in Brooklyn, and everybody's trying to get that shot. Well, it's like that here because there's buildings, but the way that it looks up right at the Eiffel Tower is pretty cool. So you have a lot of people getting their selfies there. I didn't take a selfie there, but I'm like, getting pictures of Troy on the street drinking coffee, or put him in a really cool spot with the Eiffel Tower in the background, which, you know what I say, and everybody's heard me say it a million times, and anybody that's taken my mentorships or critiques knows that I say, if you're in Paris at the Eiffel Tower and all you shoot is a very tight headshot that you can't tell that you're in Paris at the Eiffel Tower, you might as well have not been in Paris at the Eiffel Tower to take the picture. Yeah. I literally did that here on purpose. I was explaining it to Troy.
You've been
and I'm
saying that for years.
I've been, but now I took
now you have an example. Yeah.
I took a picture in front of the Eiffel Tower where you can't tell that you're at the Eiffel Tower because it's at 70 millimeters and it's a headshot. And then I have this really cool one off to the side. I did one at f2 to see if the tower would be too far out of focus. I did one at 5.6 or f5 to see if it would be better. So, but I found unique angles with Troy, and I think they look awesome. And then we were walking, and I was looking up, just looking at the Eiffel Tower, and there's no leaves on the trees yet. And the way that the trees were framing the Eiffel Tower, I was like, stop. I said that. And I'm like, Troy, look up. This is it. This is what you look for. You got to see the world through, you just got to see it. And I did, and I framed it, and I may have turned off the silent mode at that point, because I think you get the 14-bit when you shoot with the mechanical shutter.
Well, it doesn't have a mechanical shutter. It has an electronic first curtain. But when you slow it down, 6 frames a second. Yes.
So I did. I may have done that. I don't even know, because I don't even know that you'll ever notice a difference between 12 and 14.
Again, the way you edit too, you really cut down your dynamic range anyway, because you really crush the blacks and everything, which is fine, especially for a black and white photo. Like, right? Didn't you shoot this in black and white?
I did.
Or edit it in black and white?
Well, I edited in black and white. And what I was showing Troy when I was editing, I'm like, check this out in Lightroom. I can say select the sky. And so I pulled back on the sky slightly. I'm really happy with that photo. I'm really, really, really happy. I think that might be one I put up for sale and do 50 of them and sign them and number them. And this time not offer any other ones other than the signed. In this particular run will be a run of 17 by 22s. 50 of them signed and numbered out of 50, but I won't do the thing where I sell them for less expensive not signed this time, but I might change up sizing and offer signed limited edition of different sizes. So that might be a thing, but they're only going to be the limited version like that. I'm really happy with that picture. And, well, I just thought the composition was great, and I thought the editing looked cool. And then after it rained, I found a puddle to try and get the reflection of the Eiffel Tower. And it so happened that there were red balloons shaped like hearts in the reflection as well. Some people really like that image. I did a lot of work on that to bring out the colors to make it look good, because it was kind of very difficult to get that photo, but it was cool to go around with the camera and find those images and hang around the Eiffel Tower to do so.
And back to the 12-bit versus 14-bit comment. I mean, if you had like a nice bright sunny day with clouds, you might get some banding if you were trying to recover that in post. But if you're shooting 12-bit versus 14, but again, if you're not having crazy dynamic range, you're probably fine just shooting 12 across the board.
So I've been really happy with the images that I've got. I would like to have gotten more, but that's why I'm hoping to do a midnight around Paris shoot with Stefan Macchio and his girlfriend before I get out of here tomorrow, because I think that would be pretty cool. I like putting together a photo book for my personal wall of my trips, and then I probably have enough. I probably have 12, 15, 20. It doesn't matter. That would be 20 pages or more. It doesn't matter. I think it would look great to have that in my house again, because it's a memory of my trip. And so I hope to get to photograph him at the Eiffel Tower lit up at night. I don't know if the lights go out at any point or if they stay on all night, but
I would think they probably stay on. Well, now what lenses do you have again? You have the 28-70, the 14-35. Do you have the 85?
No.
Okay, so
I'm just going to use the 28-70
you have to rely on
the
the
whole time.
F2. Okay, gotcha.
Yep. That's all I ended up taking with me, and didn't take anything else at all.
I don't know if I've ever really taken like a street photo and just rely on just the street lights and that's it. That'll be interesting if you're going to have enough light to really illuminate their face and the entire thing without being crazy high ISO.
I think I will. I think the lights are pretty bright.
Remember that one shot I took for the Philly Heavy Budweiser campaign?
Yep.
I brought like 3 speed lights with me and took a shot of myself next to City Hall and balanced the light. That was a pain in the ass, don't get me wrong, to do that, but I was shooting at like ISO 100 at an f8 in the middle of the night. It was great.
Yeah, that photo that you took back then was awesome. I really love that they reached out to you on Instagram and you got that awesome. I think that photo looked great. It was the best one that they posted because everything else was garbage.
I actually tried to get like a decent photo where other people were just taking their phones around the city and taking a couple photos. It was raining that night when I took that photo. I tried to give as much effort as I could, and I'm like, I have one night to do it. Fuck it, it's raining. I'm gonna try and do it anyway. And thankfully, my speed lights lasted in the rain.
Yeah. So around the Eiffel Tower, we were it started to rain at the Eiffel Tower, and my friend Katie was sitting on the bench reading. So I had her hold her umbrella. She hates getting in pictures, but this time, because you couldn't see that it was her.
I was looking at the Insta 360 flow footage that you uploaded from Paris, and you're like, yeah, she hates getting her picture, being on video and picture taken and all that. And meanwhile, you're just filming her the entire time as she's trying to look away from you, and you're just filming behind her. And
that's what happens.
I'm like, I hope she realizes we're probably going to use a lot of that for the product showcase.
She does. I told her that we would end up using it. I also have some stuff that
you had like the tracking feature. You were showing it like tracking her head and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great way to showcase it, but she does not like being on camera.
Yeah, well, she's going to get over it because it's being used, and I already told her that. So
good.
Take that. But we were at the Eiffel Tower after I got that photo in the rain, which I actually pretty like. She's sitting on the bench. You can see the Eiffel Tower in the left in the distance, and she's in the park reading, which was pretty cool. But we were walking up, and there was this motorcycle with a sidecar stopped with people getting their picture taken, and I'm like, motorcycle with a sidecar. Oh, that's interesting. And so it turns out that it's called retro cycle or retro motorcycle or something. You can take a tour of Paris. So like the smallest one is a 40-minute tour. It's like 90 euro. So with tax, it's 100 euro, 99 euro. And you can do a 40-minute trip, and they drive you around the streets in a sidecar. So it can be 2 people, one in the sidecar and one behind, holding on basically behind the second seat behind the driver on a motorcycle. So I was like, well, I've got to test out this Insta 360 flow, and I have the Insta 360 1-inch, which you were like, you should probably take this. So I was like, good call, Steven. So I ended up taking it, and I was like, Troy, you can sit on the back of the bike. And I was like, wait a second, that's going to be difficult. I'll just rent 2 bikes. Why not? So I rented 2 bikes at the same time.
Did you feel like Indiana Jones and Sean Connery? Harrison Ford and Sean Connery?
Sean Connery. So I rented 2 of these things to take us around Paris, which is great. You go around the Arc de Triomphe, you do around the Eiffel Tower, you go around some other streets, you see a bunch of other stuff, but it was perfect for testing out the flow, because if that looks stable.
I was gonna say, were you on like cobblestone?
There was cobblestone streets.
Awesome. Yeah.
There were regular streets up to the Eiffel Tower. You have me using it. Like, I did all the other stuff. I did the time lapse or the speed hyperlapse stuff that I did. Mm-hmm. The tracking on the thing is awesome. When we were in the motorcycle, I also put it on the FPV mode, which is to simulate like a drone. And so it's a little more like it does drone moves. So I did that. But And using it attaches with a magnet and a clip on your phone, which is so I was a little worried.
And for those who don't know, this is basically like a Steadicam, like a gimbal for your phone. So that's what it looks like. If you can picture that, that's what we're talking about.
So think about it for influencers. Just Google right now, Insta360 Flow.
Yeah.
We'll be making a video. There's other YouTubers who got paid to make videos. You'll know they got paid because, well, maybe iJustine won't tell you until the last second of a 12-minute video, but anybody that put out an Insta360 Flow video is probably getting paid, and that's their way of advertising. It's a showcase. So we don't call it a review. It's a showcase, but for the price of, I think it's $150 or something.
Yeah.
For what I want to use it for, I think it's been great to flow around the city. The other interesting thing is it has a telescoping head, so you can extend it like a selfie stick, and it can tilt back. That's kind of cool. I don't use it for selfies, but for the other people that do, great. Selfies are stupid anyway.
And it has like a built-in tripod too, right?
Built-in tripod feet that pull out of the bottom so that you can set it up and it can track you if you're playing basketball or if you want to talk to it or you want to be on a Zoom call or a FaceTime call. You can actually
like the
have
gimbal
it track
head will move, you're saying, if you put it on the
floor.
floor
It will follow
or something.
you around. It will track you wherever you go. And also, it has a built-in cold shoe. If you put a microphone, you can put it has a cold shoe and it can charge your phone. And there's two USB-Cs. One's for charging, so you can charge your phone while it's in there. And the other is you can also, when you unplug your phone from charging, it has a LED light for taking those selfies. I don't, that's not my jam, right? The selfie thing, but the flow around the streets was incredible.
I know this sounds like an ad, but it is a pretty sweet deal for $150.
Yeah, this part's not. They're not paying us for this. I'm just relaying it.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, technically, maybe they are because they're paying me to make a video and I so happen to be talking about it. That's not the point. The point is that when you see the footage, it's going to sell itself. And if you ever find yourself with your phone and you're like, remember when I was renting my house?
Yeah.
My first loft.
Yep.
And I went through with hand holding one of the Canon cameras to do the video, and then it was just not that good because it should have been on a gimbal.
And you ended up doing your phone, right?
Well, yeah, I did my phone on a different gimbal, and it was steady, right? And it just looks so much better. This thing's better because it has so many more functions and options because of the tripod foot, the extending telescoping thing, the charging your phone, the way that it attached, I really loved because the other one that I had didn't attach. It had like a clip built in for the phone. This has a clip that you use that has a really strong magnet that like grabs itself. I held it almost to the cobblestones when we were finishing up, saying, please don't fall off. Please don't fall off. And it didn't fall off. And we were going at however many miles an hour we were going because I told him to floor it. So anyway, that was a good way to see the city. That's going to be a cool video with all the different tests that we were able to pull out of it. You want to talk about the April Fool's fix, Steven, that we do every year?
Ah, yes, my favorite when we're trying to make up cameras that don't exist.
What'd you end up making up this year?
This year, we did the Z8 again, pretty much the same exact script as last year, to be honest, right? I think we just tweaked a couple things here and there. And then we also did the R1, but instead of it being a development announcement like we did last year, we actually made it seem like they officially announced the R1 along with all the specs. So it was a little different. I did get to luckily reuse a lot of the same graphics and stuff that I created last year, but I did have to redo the entire R1 story because, again, it went from a development announcement where I had like a fake press release to actually being announced and showing specs on the screen and building the camera and stuff like that. We also did the Sony CF Express Type A 1 terabyte card, which you said was $2,000.
I bet you that's how much it's going to be when it gets announced, if there is one that exists.
Probably not wrong. Yeah, it's probably close to that. Maybe $1,500. It's going to be up there for sure because those cards are not cheap.
My goal with making an April Fool's fix thing is to have it be semi-realistic, but if you're paying attention, that you will understand that it's all made up.
There's the Pen 1.5 grip. Clearly, it's not a penis grip. You know what I mean?
Steven,
Like, how do you not...
H.
Well, exactly. Although I will say the way Dan edited that, I was like, wow, this actually kind of looks like a legit plug for Preparation H.
I have it right here. This fix is brought to you by, that's Artlist.
But Dan and I usually try to work together on this. I'll try and make all the graphics and do all the 3D rendering and try to make it look like a real press release and stuff like that. Make it look like a real spec sheet, and then he'll throw it in there with all the jokes, and it always works out. I think we do a really good job of tricking people because the graphics do look so realistic, and the specs are usually close to realistic with some funny stuff thrown in, like the MILF quad pixel AF or whatever. What do we call it? The multi-integrated
L
something focus. Yeah,
MILF.
MILF for short.
Multi-integrated
linear focusing or something.
Linear, something. MILF.
But yeah, I think at the beginning, when we first started doing this a few years ago, we tried to still keep the plugs somewhat realistic, like camera related. And then each year it just got more ridiculous. Like last year, I think it was Trojan condoms for your camera or something, right?
No, it was just Trojan condoms.
Just Trojan condoms.
Reminding you to shoot raw into a Trojan.
And then this year is Preparation H.
Preparation H. This fix is brought to you by Preparation H. For those of you who have a scratchy ass, we now have a lidocaine spray, so you don't have to use the gel, but if you like using the gel, we still have that for you. Head on over to preparationh.com for more information.
But yeah, those videos at the end of the day, they're fun to make. They're not easy to make. It takes a little more time than a normal fix, obviously, when we're making shit up, making fake sales pages, stuff like that. But you have fun with it. We have fun with it. And I think people really enjoy watching that.
100% made up. 100% made up.
Is this 4 years in a row that we've done the April Fool's joke?
It's been a while. I don't know how many years it's been, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got some more stuff to do here in the city because it's what, 4:35.
Are you doing a meetup?
No, I'm not doing a meetup. It got complicated, dude. It got Avril Lavigne.
That was the whole reason we recorded early.
Well, it's not the whole. This isn't. I needed to get it done, and you also need to be able to edit it. But it's just too much. Well, I would have been out there at 4:30 is when I wanted to, but I didn't put it together. It's too complicated. We've got things to do. I got dinner tonight with DeMarcus. Hopefully, a photo shoot later. And I met a bunch of people. It's funny. We were at the Louvre. No, we were at the Eiffel Tower walking across the street, and I got stopped. And then within 12 seconds, I got stopped 2 more times because multiple people came up knowing me. That was cool. When I was at Normandy yesterday in some small it's just some small random place 20 minutes outside of Omaha Beach, I come out of the bathroom at this restaurant, and this woman, American woman, was like, Jared Polin. She had a southern accent. She's like, I use your videos in class to teach my students. They're all walking around right now doing photo shoots. I was like, well, when are you guys leaving? Because I'll come out and do a photo. She's like, well, you're eating lunch. I'm like, I'm in Paris, right? I'm in France, and you randomly are at the same place with students that you teach photography. I will come outside and take a picture before you guys leave.
Once in a lifetime opportunity with the fro.
Do you know do you all want to touch my pass, my plaque? I have it right here.
And then they're like, hey, you look much bigger online.
No, they didn't say that.
They say you look taller online or something.
Yeah. Oh, you were much bigger. I thought you were much bigger. Not your arms. They never say that. My arms are big. But
what are you, 5'8", 5'7", 5'4"?
5'7", and I'm not 5'8". I'm just under 5'8", barely. Except with these shoes on.
Is that with your shoes on though? Because they're like 2 inches.
No, I get about 2 inches extra with these shoes. So that gives me a little bit of extra height. So I went to pay for my bill at lunch, and it was already taken care of by the family that was there with one of the students.
Oh, that's very nice.
And I said to Katie, I'm like, it's about time. I'm like, I always pay for other people. I always, I do. I always randomly pay for people just because if I feel like it. I always say that if it crosses my mind, I usually go with it. Like if I want to do something like that, I'm sitting there and there's just a person sitting over there, I end up taking care of their bill and leave without letting them know, so that they get the surprise that someone paid for their bill without letting them know. Like it's just so random, and it means so much to people because it's just that.
It's a very nice gesture.
Not having to, right. Yeah. Someone did that. Wow. Maybe you can change someone's day by showing them there's something good. And I'm not saying someone is in a bad mood or anything. It's just, maybe it just changes somebody's mentality.
Well, you pay it forward, hopefully, and then it's just each person pays it forward, and we end up with a happy world.
But before we go, can I just recommend that if you are in Paris, probably don't go to Normandy. to Omaha Beach. It's about 3.5 hours out and 3.5 hours back. And we did a tour there. And if it wasn't as expensive, and I'm not going to say how much it was with a private tour, because they pick you up and they drive you out there and they're a tour guide. So they give you information and they drive you back. If it was half the price if it was less than half the price of what we paid, it might have been less upsetting. It's just all I'm saying is, unless you had someone who was in World War II and came on Omaha Beach, right, on D-Day, that's different. If you have a family member like that, if someone's still alive from World War II. I was going to
say, I doubt they're even around anymore.
There's very few, but that's one of the reasons you would go. And if you have a family member buried there, that's a reason you would go out there and make the trip. But if you just are an everyday person and you think it would be interesting, it's not. You go out there and it's a beach. Omaha Beach, and there's a plaque there, and there's some museum stuff, but it's not a big museum. It's not really a museum. It's just like a welcome center. You go to some other areas, and yes, there's some bunkers still there, and you can look out and see where the Allies came up with grappling hooks to climb up this cliff to take out the Germans. I mean, that's insane. And then you realize that 6,000 Americans died coming on shore, and about 10,000 total Allies died storming the beaches. And so, yeah, that part's interesting, but not the 7 hours of travel and the expense that it was. I didn't find that to be worth it. So don't fall for the people being like, when you read online, it's like, is it worth it to go to Normandy? And people are like, it's absolutely worth taking a day trip. Those are people trying to sell day trips to go out there. So unless you really, 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 really have a reason to go, it's literally just a beach at this point. It's not like there's still stuff in the water.
Well, it's not like Pearl Harbor where the ships are literally still in the water. It's a little different, obviously. I remember I just watched this mini documentary, I think it was on Netflix, about Dick Winters from the Band of Brothers, the main character that he was based off of. They did a whole big statue there at Normandy. I believe it was in Normandy. Stuff like that's cool to see and witness. But again, like you're saying, it's just a beach that you're looking at this point. And to honor them, it's a little hard when you get there and you're just like, really, it's just a beach.
And that's it. You spend like 10 minutes at each spot and you're like, okay, we just did each beach and it took an hour and now we're going, and then we're basically stopping for lunch in this random town. And that was it. Like
Pearl Harbor, you can still literally see the oil in the water leaking out of the ship.
At a certain amount, they know how long that's going to continue to drip too.
Yep.
They've done all that. But all in all, it's been great here in Paris. I could see renting a loft for like a month and doing work out here. But I could also see that it's like every other city that you go out to eat.
Just buy another property, Jared.
I thought about it. But when you look at the price for something out here, you're looking at like 750,000 euro or 500,000 euro for like a room in a place.
It's probably like New York. It's probably insane, yeah.
It may be more expensive than New York.
Wow.
But that's why I could see maybe renting for a month, getting, even if you spent whatever, $5,000 to get something nice and you spent a month and I had products to showcase, it's like you set up a whole thing where it's like, yeah, I'm going to spend the month of whatever, maybe, May or June in a place, and I'm going to rent a cool loft and I'm going to do work out of here. I'm going to set up Photo News Fix. I'm going to bring tripods. I'm going to bring that stuff and I'm going to do it. We have sponsors, like I can do that.
I mean, honestly, with the internet you have right there, right now, you really can do anything. It's just like working remotely at home, Well,
I've been uploading my RAW files. I've been backing up my RAW files to the Dropbox.
It's just like being at the factory. Obviously, the only difference would be me not being there and helping you record videos and stuff like that. Right. It's a little harder to record things on your own.
That's correct. But anyway, you want to wrap this up, Steven?
Yeah.
You can call us. I don't know the number. It's in the description. So you can text us. It's in the description each week. Appreciate you guys. We needed to work this out because obviously I'm in Paris. Steven's back home. So we had to figure out the time to make it work. I had to use this Rode NT USB. Hopefully everything sounds good. Even though it sounds a little peaking in my head, it's not peaking in the
it's thing. Definitely a little more echoey than normal, but it is what it is.
Well,
it's fine.
Steven, this is the Echo.
And there's cats walking around on the ceiling and shit.
There's a cat on the roof, bro. It's not there anymore, but it just took a shit right above my head, and it's leaking. It's not.
God.
So anyway, I got first class coming home. I got upgraded for tomorrow.
Nice.
And we'll call it a day right there, Steven. This is episode 45.
45, man. And then we're still trying to figure out the podcast thing on YouTube as well. Eventually, we'll talk about that, but.
Someone was asking about that. Like, put it on YouTube. We're figuring it out. I have to set up a call. They did mention that. I have to set up a call with them.
I
have to pick
submitted
time.
tons of questions that need to be answered. So until we get them answered, we're going to lay low for now.
Yep, we just want those answers before we move on. So anyway, I'm going to call it a day, guys. Thank you very much for listening. This is episode 45 of Frono's Photo RAWtalk. Jared Polin, FronosPhoto.com. See ya.
Bye.
Au revoir. Au revoir.
How I love to go to Paris again.